Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy KAIO and I'm back again this time to give you another Hunter x Hunter video. Yes, you heard correctly, Hunter x Hunter. It's been a while. It's been a long time since I've done anything Hunter x Hunter related. Like, for my own videos, the last thing I did was a What If versus Chrollo and Hisoka. And yeah, that did pretty decently. Like, I think people enjoyed that video. But overall, I think the last video I did, I think it was either after or before that, I joined Tekken 101 and Yugi, in which we ranked all of the arcs. And we all agreed that there isn't really a bad arc. If anything, it's more your least favourite to your favourite. And that's why, as you can see down the side here, I've got GOAT, Great, Good and OK. Because I generally don't think that Hunter x Hunter has a bad arc. I think there's just ones that are better than the previous ones, or ones that are done earlier are better than the other ones. That's just really the way that I see Hunter x Hunter. And yet it's not my all-time favourite series. One Piece is my all-time favourite series, but this is like always going to be like that number 2 spot. Like, One Piece and Hunter x Hunter are going to be very hard to like dethrone. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, it really isn't. But without further ado, guys, I think it's time to kick into this, because yeah, with that other video, I didn't really get to, wanting to explain like in full detail why I've got these arcs where they are, because obviously we had Tekken and Yugi. So we did do this video. I think this is actually the same tier list, or was it just the anime? I can't remember. I think this was the tier list that we used, but it was more joint decision. Whereas with this one, I just wanted to do it on my own. So yeah, I think this is going to be a long video, guys. So, grab your popcorn, grab your snacks, whatever, drinks. I did have a drink, but I've drunk mine. Actually, I've got a drink here. It's not Lucozade. There's Pepsi Max in there. But with that being said, let's actually kick into this. So, first off, we have the Hunter exams. And, I have been looking at these before, so I already know where I'm going to place them. So I'll let you guys know. Things may change. You always have those moments when you discuss things and you realise certain parts. But this is going in good. Now, the reason it's going in good and not great is because, don't get me wrong, it is a solid opening. Like, for a series, it's really good, because I love the way that Togashi introduces us to all of the characters. Do you know, I've just realised Killua is not even in there. Why? Like, Killua was in the start of it. Like, what? It doesn't really matter, but it's because he's my favourite character. But still, like, there's so many GOAT characters just in this one picture, all like 5. Like, no offense to Pockle, whatever his name is, and the bald dude, I can't remember his name, but I think it begins with N. I'm not too sure. But yeah, apart from these guys, like the rest of the characters, I like these guys. You've got Hisoka, Kurapika, Leorio, of course, Gon, RMC, and Illumi. So the way that it does start off is obviously because we meet Gon, so we meet the main character. Then obviously we get onto the boat and meet these two. And I like the way that Togashi actually introduces these two and sort of makes them like hate each other at first. Well, not really hate each other, they sort of dislike each other, because they just sort of throw some shade at each other. And then there's just Gon standing in the middle, just like, okay, cool, yeah, whatever. Like, he just seems like a happy kid. Well, you think that he's a happy kid until later on, but, we'll get to that part when we actually get to the arc. But, yeah, no, I think for an opening, like, with these two guys and just finding out a little bit what they're all about and just how things are going and what they want to achieve, like, within the Hunter exams themselves and why they want to become hunters. And, yeah, then we meet Hisoka and, Hisoka's Hisoka, I don't really need to say much, and then Illumi's just Illumi. But I suppose the things that really do stand out, apart from obviously Gon and Hisoka's first interaction, and then him just absolutely clapping these guys with like no issues whatsoever, is Killua versus Jonness. So you guys should know that fight, because that was one of the quickest fights I've ever seen in the series. Like, within a second or 2 seconds flat, like, Killua was done Jonness, like, with ease. And Jonness is one of those characters that Leorio was actually talking about. Like, this guy was mad. Or was it Tompa? I think it was Leorio or Tompa. And obviously we can't forget the GOAT Tompa as well. But it was one of those two that were talking about Jonness. And I think it definitely was Leorio, saying that this guy would just sort of rip people apart with his bare hands, and people just don't understand how this guy could do it. And of course he was going to kill Killua, and they try and tell him, no, please don't do this. This isn't the right thing to do. But of course, Killua being Killua and being a Zoldic and an assassin, he's killing the guy no matter what. And of course he does. He takes his heart. Jonness is like, what just happened? Suddenly starts to go cold and realises that Killua has his heart. And the one quote that sticks out to me from Killua is the way he brings his dad into this. It's like he's got the, well, in the 2011 version, he's got the heart like this, and in the 1999 version, he's got it in his hand like that, because in that version, he crushes it. In the 2011, he puts it back in his hand after John List dies. But the quote he says is that, you know, though he's done this, and there's, you know, you can see the blood dripping and everything like that. If it was, obviously we didn't know his name, but if it was Silva, there would be no blood. So it just goes to show like how advanced this assassin family is, and considering they're known all over the world anyway, we know that because even during the York New Arc, everyone's like, that's the famous group of assassins. So they are very well known. So it just, you know, it makes sense that they are known for what they're known as. So yeah, no, overall the arc was good. I feel like there was parts that kind of dragged, and that was during the cooking part. Yeah, I think that was probably my least favourite part. I didn't mind the running bit and then going through like the forest and everything like that to actually get to the cooking part, but it was okay. It wasn't good. I think that was the only letdown really of that arc. Of course the ending was, you know, leading on to this arc right here, which I'll get to in a second. But to wrap this up, of course these two fight. Gon doesn't give up, Gon faints. Then, of course, Illumi takes the piss. Killua goes on a rampage, murders another dude who I can't... Who was fighting that guy that Killua murdered? Was it Kurapika? Oh, I can't remember who it was, but they were just so stunned, and just like that look in his eyes with the blood, he just didn't care. Gets disqualified by Netero. Of course, that was actually another good thing when, like, Netero, Gon, and Killua are training, and, you know, Netero's just flexing on both of them while they're trying to, you know, catch him and that. So, yeah, that was also cool. But, of course, that then leads on to the Zoldic Arc. Now, the Zoldic Arc is okay. And the reason I put it okay is because it's very straightforward. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a good arc, but it's an okay because, you know, it was short, straight to the point. Like, the mum was just really weird. Don't care about the mum. The geeky, nerdy brother, I can't remember his name. I think that begins with a Z, I think. I can't remember. If like someone in the comments can let me know, or I'll just look myself at some point. But yeah, no, he was an okay character. Is that Aluka or Nanika? I'm not too sure. Or is that Illumi because of the eyes? Not sure. Not too sure. And of course, obviously, we've got Zeno and Silva. Now, we see how tough Killua can be, because obviously he's tied up to the chains and he's getting, you know, tortured by this one. And then you've got this little strange bond between these two, because usually when you have this sort of dad, like as in Silva, you're expecting him to be that type of guy that's just like, stop fooling around, like, we're assassin family, what are you doing, why are you doing this? And then it turns out to be the complete opposite. It's like, no, go play with friends, because obviously these three here, you know, want to go and, you know, rescue, even though he gets out. Because, of course, we run into, you know, Goto as well. Rip Goto. But overall, yeah, solid arc. Just goes in okay. Can't really say much more. Now, the Heaven's Arena arc. Of course, we had the showdown between Gon and Hisoka, which was pretty cool. I liked that. It was very funny and also disturbing at the same time, if you guys know what I mean, with Hisoka when he's saying Gon's name repeatedly over and over again. Do you know what? I'm going to place it in good. I was going to place it in great. That's what I had my mind set to. But I'm going to place it at good, but it's at the top of good. I think out of all the arcs that I'm going to place in good, this is the best one. It's almost on the line of great. But I just think it's the other arcs are just better, and in all honesty. But with this one, right, what can I say about this arc? Well, of course, it is the introduction to the Nen training that Wing takes. Obviously, he's got his little student Zushi anyway. Then you've got Gon and Killua that are learning Nen. And that all stems because of Hisoka. So, of course, the way that the Heaven's Arena works is that you work your way up from floor to floor. You fight a floor master when you get to a certain point. And, of course, you keep going up to win loads of money, and that's exactly what they want to do. And then it gets to a part where they're walking down a corridor, and this bit always sticks out to me because, you know, I feel like that's the most important bit apart from the final showdown. But with Gon and Killua sort of making their way, Hisoka's sitting on the floor at the end of the corridor and just flexes. And then you've got them two just standing there like, why can't I move? What is going on? And of course, that's when Wing takes them under his wing. Pun there. I enjoyed that one. Just made that one up on the spot. So Wing takes them under his wing along with Zushi and trains them. and sort of says this is how Nen works. Of course, they need to learn it on the quick, so they kind of like do the whole cheating aspect. But I like the way that it's done, even though this is like the quick way of doing it. I like the way you got the glass of water, like literally like a pint of water, even though there's no water in that. But it's the way they've got the leaf, and just the way it works. Like, you find out if you're a specialist or an enhancer or an emitter or a transmuter. It just depends really on what your Nen type is. But the way that I like this system, and I think it's probably in my opinion, the greatest like ability system ever. Like, I love Devil Fruits, I love Chakra, I love Ki, I love Reishi, Ryatsu, whatever you want to call it in Bleach. Like, it's cool, but for me, Nen is like very unique, because with a lot of other series, of course, you have to learn, you have to adapt, but a lot of them are just very similar in just the fact that when you've got the likes of Dragon Ball, and then you've got Naruto, and you've got Bleach, and so forth. One Piece is different because of its Devil Fruits, but they've only got like 3 specific types, but the Haki comes into it, which makes it more unique. But with this, what's more unique about it is the fact you can only learn certain types of abilities. Like, you have like an enhancer at the top and you have a specialist. Of course, specialists are the most overpowered, but you can't really take enhancers for granted either, because, yeah, like you can see with Uvogin in Yorknu, which I will address a bit later, and of course Gon learning his Junken, and then going into the Chimera Ant Arc, which obviously I will discuss a bit later on as well. But with learning all these different types of abilities and what you can learn, like you can go from this to this, or like especially kind of go from that to that, and you can't learn that and that one. It's just so unique. So I like the way that Togashi actually, you know, has like such a unique way of making like such awesome abilities, really. And I've always said, yeah, I'd be a specialist. Of course, you guys can say, yeah, well, of course you choose the most overpowered. But my top 2 favourite characters are specialists, Killua and Crollo. Like, how can I not choose that? If I could choose another one, then I'd probably go Enhancer, or maybe like Emitter. I don't know. It's one of those things that I'd have to think about. But yeah, Specialist is the one I want to go for. But that's just me. But yeah, of course, they learn their Nen. They're sort of still needing training and everything like that. But they've learned enough. They've learned the basics and how to use it. And sort of learning all the different types of it. It's all good the way that they put it together. And just, yeah, it's awesome. And of course, the final showdown is good. And I just like the way they just use all the different types of Nen. Obviously, you got N, which doesn't come till later. It's just OP. It's just an OP system. It's so good. So, for that, yeah, the Heaven's Arena sits right there. Now we go on to Yorknu, which usually is the toss-up between this and Chimera Ant Arc, which people seem to, you know, sort of deem their favourite. But for me, straight up GOAT. Like, when I was, like, watching Hunter x Hunter, I was like, nothing is going to top this arc. Nothing. There is nothing that is going to top this arc. I just can't see it happening. Of course, we'll get to that later on, but yeah, no, this arc was absolutely fantastic. We got the introduction of the Phantom Troop. Like, I had sort of met some of my favourite characters from that. Like I said, Chrollo, my guy, my boy, my G. Absolutely love the man. Like, he's awesome. Of course, Hisoka playing a double agent, teams up with Kurapika. Of course, we get Leorio. We get all the main, like, 4 guys in this. And of course, you got Nobunaga. Then you've got, is Sphinx there? Yeah, Sphinx is there. Is Phaeton? This image is so small. You got Machi, my girl Machi, of course, and then you got my G, Uvogin, up the top there. So I'm actually going to start off talking about Uvogin, because apart from their awesome fight, like him and Kurapika, I liked his fight with the Shadow Beasts, and even just before that, when he was just taking out like the dudes with like the bazookas and just showing them what for. And he is the same like Nen type as like Gon, just more advanced. Like, he would have absolutely pummeled Gon into the ground. But it just goes to show the potential that Gon would later reach, like further on as he got older and everything like that. And of course, we saw what happened in the Chimera Ant arc. But we at that point were knowing that, okay, so this could be potentially what Gon could, you know, be one of those days when it comes to it. But with that fight, dude literally yells at someone, like screams in this guy's face, and like he dies. Like, you see blood coming out of his ears and everything like that. Bites the dude's like head off, like half his face off, and then literally just use it like a bullet, like shoots it out of his mouth, and then kills the other guy. Like, goes through his, like he puts his hand up like here, goes through his hand through the head. Like, it's nuts. And was there another guy? I'm sure there was a fourth guy, but I can't remember what happened to him. But they all died. Yeah, so the Shadows Beast just became fodder characters, like, because of Uvogin. And then, of course, that's when Kurapika comes in, and the man literally brings a shovel to a fight. When have you ever known someone to bring a shovel to a fight unless they're that confident, like, straight up that they're going to win? And, of course, he does trick Uvogin. Like, Uvo can't really do much. Actually, to be fair, he can't actually do anything. And so Kurapika just ends up absolutely just destroying him. And then, of course, we have Gon and Kilo are trying to tell on the Phantom Troop, Nobunaga, and I think it's Pakunoda, or is it Marchi? No, it's these two. Yeah, it's these two. And then everything happens between them. And then, obviously, Chrollo ends up getting captured by Kurapika, which is, you know, it's cool. It's cool the way that they do it, but you can see that Chrollo's just on another level. Like, he's just annoying the hell out of Kurapika. Like, Kurapika even punches him. That's how pissed he gets towards the end. And then we have the Hisoka versus Chrollo. Of course, Chrollo can't use his nail at that point because of the chain that Kurapika uses. And then we get the white Hisoka where he's just like gone pale. Like, okay, great. Can't even fight him. But the one fight that I do want to bring up is Chrollo versus Zono and Silva. Like, I love that fight. Even though it wasn't that, you know, like, oh my god, like, this fight is the greatest of all time. It was still a good fight. I really enjoyed it for what it was. Like, just the way that, you know, Silva and Chrollo, like, we find out that they had fought before. I don't know how many years ago it was, but Chrollo obviously does look quite a bit younger. So I think he must have been, like, I don't know, 17, 18 probably. I don't recall them saying how many years ago it was, but we know that they did fight. And then, of course, Zeno, being Zeno, just absolutely just does everything he can to try and fight Chrollo. But the one thing that I've got to respect about Chrollo here as well is exactly what Silva says, and that's the fact that even though he's, you know, fighting two people, he's managing to, you know, still keep up with both of them at the same time, and also keeping an eye on Silva. That's what he says. He's like, he's keeping up with Dad, but he's also keeping an eye on me. And obviously that's until, like, he gets caught out at one point. But then when you think about it at the end, like, Zeno's right. Like, when he says to Chrollo that I could beat you, because Chrollo asked him, like, oh, well, if we was to fight one-on-one, how do you think it would go? Like, who would win? Zeno said, like, no damn question, it would be me. But if you were trying to kill me, then it would be a different point. So you can take that as you will. Could Chrollo defeat him? Most likely he could. But I think Zeno's that sort of person where he's assassin. Like, he even said to those guys, I think it was like everyone who wanted their guns back, he was like, he could kill him in like 7 seconds. Like, that he could wipe all of them out. Yeah, if they were armed to the teeth, then he could just wipe them out. But, you know, like, Yorknu, absolutely fantastic arc. And, yeah, like, I will be referencing more when we get to this arc here, because it does kind of tie in with Gon and sort of the question he asked Chrollo. But I will get to that. But no, overall, it was a great arc. Like, definitely 100% goated. So, moving on, we get to Greed Island. Now, Greed Island, this is a funny one, because I have known people to say that they love it. I've known people to say they don't like it. And I've also seen people that are saying, yeah, it's alright. So, I have noticed it is still like a top 3 arc for a lot of people. And it is a good arc, but for me, I am going to place it in great. Now, the reason that I am placing it in great is because we get a lot more training because of Bisky. I like the actual design of this arc. When I say the design, I'm talking about the fact that we actually get to go into a game, which is Greed Island, which was created by Gene, Razor, and some other like powerful Nen dudes. But it's the fact that we think, oh, could this be the point where Gon meets his father? Because when you see the opening, you do see Gene right at the start. And obviously throughout the entirety of the arc, we get the amazing dodgeball where Hisoka joins in and, you know, Gon starts using his, like, Jujunken or Junken. And Razor's like, yeah, this kid's good, but Razor is powerful. Like, the fact this man's, like, throwing a dodgeball, like, if you're on your own, man, like, you're getting Sparko. Like, you're actually knocked out. You're flying. You're absolutely flying. And then, of course, we, you know, meet Genthru. Of course, like, Genthru's a pretty good villain, but he definitely, I don't know, I feel like this was one of those arcs where it was definitely needed, like, as a sort of, you know, taking a step back. When I mean taking a step back, I don't mean in terms of, like, the writing or anything like that. I'm talking about the villains, because when you come straight from someone like Crollo and the Phantom Troop to someone like Genthru to then possibly the greatest villain in the series so far, that's probably until later on with this arc, but that's a debate for a different day. I can see why. Now with Genthru, don't get me wrong, I like the idea that he's a bomber, and that, you know, it's the fact of getting all the cards in this one book to complete the game, and that's the whole point of these guys. But I just love the way that Bisky does like teach these guys, and like the banter between these two, the way he just keeps taking the piss out of her and she just keeps knocking him out. It's hilarious. And then you've got Gon, who's just like really sort of like taking everything on board. Of course Killua is, but that's just Killua for you. Like, he just says it as it is. Of course Gon does as well, and Bisky does, but you know, Killua just he doesn't have like any filter. I think I'd say he has a filter to some extent, but he doesn't really. And of course, you know, I like their battle, like the way that they do take on Genthru and his two cronies, and you know, they'll split them up. Then you've got like Killua, you know, using his yo-yo, showing how powerful he is, like using like his, you know, lightning, etc. Then we see Bisky's true, like, you know, form, where she's like a butch woman and she absolutely decimates that guy. Like, his actual face has been like, it looks like it's been punched in. So I don't know how that dude's still alive. Of course, you know, with that card, like the angel card, he gets brought back. But of course, then you have Gon versus Genthru, and I like the way that he actually does this fight, in the fact that he, you know, loses an arm, and you know, Genthru thinks that he's got him, crushes his neck, and then just unleashes a Junken on Genthru with a crushed throat, but planning like smashing a hole into the ground and then absolutely slapping him. And then Genthru's like, no, don't do it. And of course Gon still does it. But for an arc, yes, we get some advanced training, so that was good. Definitely worth the training that's needed, like to sort of, you know, expand upon their Nen abilities and learning other stuff like Ten, Ren, Yo. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Is it gonna go in okay? Is it gonna go in good? Is it gonna go in great? Or is it gonna go in goat? Is this the one that takes over York-Nu? Nah, it goes in okay. I didn't think it was that great of an arc, to be honest. Like, a lot of people just seem to say that it's the greatest arc ever in Hunter. Guys, I'm joking. Come on. Come on, do you really expect me to put it in okay and say those words? No way, Jose. This is a goated arc. This right here, the best arc. 110% the best arc in Hunter x Hunter. Like, so much went on. So much character development. Especially for Meruem, the king of the ants. We have the royal guards. We have Meruem versus Netero. We have the Dragon Dive, which includes Zeno. Gon's character development, the way he just, like, completely turns. We meet Kite. Well, okay, Kite got brought into the 2011 version in this arc, but of course in the 1999 version, he was in the first episode, but I like the way they include the flashback. This arc, I was on the edge of my seat for so much of this arc. I loved every single moment. Of course, the opening, those poor kids that died, like, damn, they didn't deserve that. They did not deserve that, but it's just the way ants are. And then, of course, they did come back as ants. So, yeah. No, they were cool, but let's talk about the greatness that is this arc. Like, for me, this arc is one of the best shonen arcs of all time. I love everything about this arc. Like, the relationship between Meruem and Komugi. You're expecting someone like Meruem to be this tough guy, this like guy that you need to get rid of because he's just like a menace to society. That he's just gonna sort of just do what he wants, which is what he was going to do. He's gonna be the king of the ants. Well, he is the king of the ants. He was gonna do everything in his power to just control everything. And then Komugi comes into it and they start playing Gungi. This is where the character development starts for Meruem. He starts learning to appreciate and starts learning how humans are, like how we work, how we do things, and you know, it's like a big learning like curve for him. And it's just so amazing how Togashi can make a blind woman who then comes in front of the king of the ants, Meruem, and they're just sitting there playing a game, and Meruem was never able to defeat her, even up until death. Like, he was never ever able to defeat her because she is a champion. But it's like he was just loving it. It's like he just started wanting to see her more and more. It's like he got like a massive soft spot for her. And you can see that at the end, because everyone loved like Komugi and Meruem's relationship. It was so lovely. It really was. And, you know, it was a sad ending. Like, I will admit, like, the first time I watched it, I cried. Like, I did cry, but it was perfectly executed. And then obviously I rewatched it with my missus like 2 years ago, and she was blubbering because she absolutely loved those two, and it was just the way they ended. And I've seen other people's reactions. Yeah, we all had that reaction right when we first watched it, okay? Don't you lie, you know you cried. You, right there. But apart from them, of course, the big fight between Meruem and Netero, that was fantastic. Just seeing how, like, amazing Meruem actually is. Like, the guy is just getting slapped by Netero. Like, Netero's like ready to throw hands. Of course, Meruem does beat him because Netero suddenly realised that he is actually no match for him apart from doing the ultimate blast, which technically Netero won, but obviously he had to, you know, blow himself up in order to actually defeat Meruem and technically beat him twice. But yeah, no, that fight was very, very good. Like, I really, really enjoyed that fight. I think the way that Meruem actually takes him out as well, it's like he's just getting faster, and it's like he's just showing like how powerful and just like how crazy he is. But the thing is, he doesn't even want to fight him. But I think the one thing that sticks out to me, like right before that fight, and this also goes for Go, and I will like go like more into detail, is that when Komugi gets injured and he asks Pito, which, you know, got a bit of Pito, and of course, you know, you got Poof and Yuppie, which I will talk about those guys soon. But the fact that he entrusts Pito to actually heal her while he goes away. But it's just that moment when he walks past Zeno and Netero, and they're both standing there like, wow. Like, they can feel the surge in his power. And it's like, that's not even his full power. Like, he hasn't even reached his final form yet. But he's one crazy powerful mofo. Takes off Netero's leg, takes off his arm. Netero's still fighting. And the one thing I really say that I've got to appreciate as well is the fact, the way that Netero says, like, you will never understand the bottomless malice within the human heart. And of course, like I said, I was going to bring up the 3 royal guards as well. Of course, we had Pito, who took out KAIO. I really wanted Pito to die, but then as I sort of got to know Pito's character quite a lot more, I started to like the character, and I thought, you know what, yeah, let's see where your story goes. And then of course we had Yuppie and Poof. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I preferred Pito and Yuppie. I'd say Pito's my favourite. I wasn't a fan of Poof. Like, I'm gonna be straight up honest. Poof was okay, but he was just so annoying, and I can see why. But this is the one thing you gotta love when it comes to mangaka. Like, you know, when they've made like a really like hated villain, like a villain that you know you're gonna hate, and that's when you know it's really well written, because you dislike them that much that you end up thinking like, okay, yeah, you got me. And this is exactly what Togashi done with Poof. Like, I hated him, and I really hope that Kilo would have beaten him, and I think that he could have. Even though Poof, I know he was split like from his original body, etc., and you know. But I don't know. I kind of feel like Poof might have actually got his butt handed to him. So yeah, that's Poof. Yuppie, on the other hand, I like the fight because Kilo was showcased, you know, Godspeed, Whirlwind, everything you can think of. Even though it didn't do like any damage to Yuppie, it was enough to sort of stop him from, like, you know, getting to what he was going to do, which was killing Knuckle. And obviously I can't forget Knuckle and Shoot, of course. Like, I kind of felt like Shoot was just sort of casted to the side, and Knuckle was just Knuckle. And yeah, we had so much going on this arc. Like, I could probably do a video going into full detail about how great the Chimera Ant arc is. But, of course, the main thing that I do want to talk about is the character development for Gon. So, you remember earlier when we first started ranking these, I said he's like he's a happy-go-lucky kid around like this part here. And as each arc went on, you could see a difference. And he said to Crolo, like, why are you doing this? And then, like, 2 arcs later, the dude's literally looking at Meruem from, like, far away. And he's not even phased about how strong this guy is. Like, he's just angry. Like, he's been angry ever since the stuff happened with Palm. Now, I'll admit, Palm was very creepy. And then when she became a Chimera, and I'm not going to lie, she got pretty hot. Just saying. But the stuff that happened with Palm and happened with KAIO, of course, it really triggered him. Like, it absolutely triggered him to the fact that this wasn't the Gon that we're used to. This was a Gon that we were like, okay, so this Gon's different. And he, as I said, he wasn't fazed by Meruem at all. Like, you had Netero and Zeno who would have slapped Gon in that state, and of course Meruem would have as well. And yet they're like frozen. They're like, okay, like what's with this guy? And then you've got Gon, who's just standing there with like these like mad eyes, just like staring at him. You feel like he's gonna go like a Super Saiyan or something like that. He's just mad, like absolutely mad. And of course, like he proves that later on when he's sitting in front of Pito, when he's sitting there like this, just waiting. He's angry. Like even Killua can't even pull him out of it. There is no one that's pulling him out of it. The way he's just warning Pito, like Pito's even scared. Like that's how scared that Gon would have probably killed him. It's like, you better take me to KAIO. And that's the promise. Of course, Pito wants to kill Gon, and that doesn't happen. Pito tries till Gon goes into his angry Titan transformation. I'll use all the power I'll ever have, and then absolutely decimates Pito with a Junken. Like, that was one of the most amazing build-ups I've ever seen. The fact that even Pito says that adult Gon, because that's what we call him, adult Gon, could probably sink his fangs into the king, being Meruem. Take that however you will. At that time, probably, but bear in mind, the Meruem that was coming back was obviously post-Rose Meruem, so this was after, like, he got fused with Yuppie and Poof. So then it's a different story altogether. Of course, we'll never know because they never fought, but I love the way that it's done. The way it's got, like, the eerie, like, violin strings, the way it's just, you know, getting that Junken ready and just, oh, I can see it in my head, and the way he's just like, he's not even looking. And then literally all he does is just turn his head because he knows that Pito's falling, going to land right in that spot. Crack. And you can hear the crack and the bones breaking and sends Pito flying. And of course, that's when Killua is flying like towards him and he's like, what is going on? And then sees Gon the way he is, just smashing 10 tons of crap, just using Junken after Junken after Junken. Like, it's absolutely insane, like, what this kid is doing right now. And then, you know, they say the Nen after death is even more powerful. You have that memory of what you want to do, and that you know, you're going to serve the king, and that you're going to kill Gon. And then Pito tries to do that with no head. And then we're like, oh my god, please tell me that wasn't Killua that died. And we realise Gon's arm comes off, and he's like, it's alright, it's cool. I'm like, KAIO now. Grabs the arm, puts it straight through Pito, and then literally fires up a Junken from the stump of his arm, looks at Killua and just like, yeah, cool, whack, and then that's it. Like, it's crazy to think I don't know what Togashi was thinking during this point. Harry came up with such a masterpiece of an arc that is the Chimeran arc. It's just so good. So good that I love every single moment about him. The theme of it, the way that the characters, like I said, Meruem and Gon, just like, it's like they've done a switch. Like, they're learning. And like Gon becomes the monster and Meruem becomes the good guy, and of course, you know, he gets infected with the poison. That's how like the rest of the royal ants die, apart from Pito. But like Yuppie and Poof, they both fall. They die from the poison. Meruem knows he's gonna die, and he wants one last time to spend with Komugi. They meet. They play the Gungi, and he's like, oh, like, you know, can you say my name? And yeah, like, it was really sad. I'm not going to go into it, but you guys know how that ended, and it was really well done. So I think I've spoken long enough about the Chimeran arc. Like, I did say to you guys, get the popcorn ready because this was going to go on. But now we move to the 13th chairman election arc. So the reason that this happened is obviously because Netero has passed away, and the chairman discussing who's going to be the next, you know, main chairman, the main person, who's going to be like the main guy. And of course, you got the twisted Pariston. I like Pariston, but this man is just so, like, twisted. He knows what he's doing, and that's why I love the fact in this picture, Gene's back to back here, because Gene knows exactly what he's going, like, up against here and what he's doing. Like, I love the way that he discusses on, like, how to do things, and the fact the rest of the Zodiacs agree with it. And I'm not gonna lie, I do like the designs of the Zodiacs. Like, they look really cool. So let's actually stick this in its tier. I am putting it in great. Like, I really like this arc. I actually liked it. God, I'm probably going to get hate for this, but if I can actually move it, I actually preferred it more than Greed Island. And of course, this is where the anime ends off. We got some good stuff. Like, there's just so much stuff that went on. Like, the election was cool. Obviously, everyone loves Leorio punching Gene in the face. I love how sarcastic Gene is. Obviously, he is the worst dad. Like, people would say he's worse than Goku. Like, I would kind of agree in some sense, because the way that Leorio is like, Are you not going to go see Gon? Because Gon is obviously comatose and pretty much on the verge of death, and like he's only on like a life support machine, really. And yeah, Jin's just like, did he even ask for me? And Leroy like, no, that's not even the point. Like, you should still go see your son. Like, he's been wanting to see you for ages. That's when the punch happens. But yeah, no, I like the way that Hisoka's there as well, and he's just like looking at everyone's strength. Hisoka just being Hisoka, meets with Illumi, hears about everything that happens, and he's not exactly too happy with that information of what's going on. And then that's when, you know, Killua goes back to his house, grabs Nanika, Aluka, because Killua's the only person that, I'm not saying like Nanika and Aluka hate the others, but Killua's the only one that's really sort of given Nanika or Aluka any sort of time of the day and enjoyed. But of course you have to do the fulfillment of whatever they want before you get your wish, and that's of course when, you know, Killua does what he needs to do. And of course you've got everyone chasing after him, even including Goto. That's when Hisoka comes in. We have the amazing coin fight, and then Hisoka coming down and just using the cards to kill him. Rip, but had to be done because that's just Hisoka for you. And then yeah, Gon comes back and he's happy to see his father, and yeah, and so forth. Leora is like the one person who's like, yeah, I don't really want this, but you know, I'm gonna just do it anyway. And yeah, no, it's a very good arc. I really thoroughly enjoyed this arc. It's definitely one of the best. Like, originally I did have Greed Island above this arc, but I might actually have to change it and put this arc here because of what it leads into, which I'm now going to go on here. And just one final thing, obviously, them two actually do finally meet, apart from that first time in the election room, and then going onto the tree and talking from there. And yeah, it was good. Like, I love the way that Jean sort of says, like, there is an expansion to the world, like, where the ants came from. So, like, Meruem's mother and so forth. So, it's good. I like the way it goes on to the Dark Continent arc. So, you can pretty much say they're the same, but of course, it's a succession because of what's going on. So, Dark Continent, for what it was, pretty much like this arc, very few chapters, and Jean is obviously trying to, you know, outdo Pariston, and yeah, and offers more money to a lot of people. And obviously we get Beyond Netero, who seems like he should be more in a seinen manga like Vagabond, something like that, but of course no, we get Beyond Netero in this. And obviously we're introduced to a lot more stuff where, you know, I think we're going to see a lot of Beyond Netero in this. Like, it's going to happen. It's going to go off. This arc will change a lot of stuff, I reckon. But for this arc, it's a good arc. Where would I place it? I'd probably say there. I still prefer Heaven's Arena. But it is a good setup for this arc, which is the Succession arc, which is the current one. Of course, we're on hiatus right now. But, you know, health is more important. So, yeah, we can just wait for Togashi whenever he wants to come back. We'll all still be here. We've waited long enough. So, what's a little bit longer to wait? Togashi obviously needs it because, you know, we want him to be the best that he can. We don't want him just to rush back and, you know, him being more pain. So, yeah. Right, with the Succession arc, it's definitely going in great. Like, it can potentially go to GOATed because of everything we've got. But you guys know the main reason why it's going there. Because straight from that to that, Hisoka versus Chrollo, or Crollo versus Hisoka. It's the one thing we've all been crying out for. As much as we wanted the manga to return, that one fight is the one thing that we want to see animated. Even if we just got that, like, of course we need the Dark Continent stuff first, but even if we just got that, a lot of people would be happy because a lot of people would say it is the best fight in the series because, to be fair, Gon versus Pito was one-sided. Meruem versus Netero was a great fight, but when you compare it to, like, their first fight, like, it's on par, I'd say, with that one. I can't really say that this is much better because that fight was nuts. That fight was absolutely nuts. The way that Hisoka, like, when he's got the dude's head and he's just swinging it around because obviously Crollo's getting everyone to come into him and, like, try and attack him, and he's just swinging the head like basically the jump force, the ultimate move, where he's just swinging oh my god, it's crazy. And the face, the detail in that face that Togashi does with Hisoka, where it just looks menacing. Like, it looks absolutely menacing. Like, he's loving every single moment of it. And then Crollo just showing how to use those abilities, those stolen abilities, the sun, the moon. I need to reread that. Oh my god, just talking about it, it was just such a sick fight. I love every single thing about that fight. Definitely the best part of the Succession arc so far. And then, of course, Hisoka does take out Shinnok and Kotopi and obviously wants to get rid of the rest of the remaining Phantom Troop so he can take on Crollo one more time. But with what's currently going on right now with the princes, with Serendich, that guy is crazy. He could potentially go on to be the strongest, like, within the series. It could be hard because of Meruem, because though Meruem only had one arc, we knew that guy was the most powerful guy within the series. But Serendich, on the other hand, because of what he's learning, the premonition, the way that he was able to fake his death, like, the guy's going to be insane. And it's going to be interesting to see how Kurapika, because of course Kurapika for the second time is the main guy for this arc. And that's another thing that I do love about Togashi, is the fact that we don't actually have to focus on Gon or Kilo. Kilo's going off to do his thing. Gon's lost his Nen, of course, after everything that happened. But of course, he does speak with Jin during the Dark Continent arc, and I think he will get it back. But going back to the arc, anyway, it just goes to show that you can still enjoy it even though it's a different character like Kurapika. Like, I think he could even make one on Leorio and would still find it enjoyable somehow in some way. But the way that Kurapika's teaching everyone about Nen, and then you've got Serendich who's, like, you know, learning as well, and it's like he's picking up even quicker. I think he's even picked up quicker than Gon and Killua is, like, it's mad. And he's even a specialist as well. Like, what with all these specialists, man? They're crazy. Like, you've got Chrollo, you've got Meruem, and now you've got Serendich, and oh my god, there's just so much going on, like, within that arc. And of course, we've already had a couple of the princes. I think it's like 3 princes have died. So you've got the whole Nen Beast situation. There's just so much going on, and I can't wait to see how this is going to end. Of course, the Phantom Trooper on there, Hisoka's on there somewhere. Like, oh my god, like, I can't wait for Togashi's return. But of course, like I said, he can return when he wants to. But this series is just great. I do think it's a masterpiece. I really do. And of course, whenever we do eventually get to the ending, then it will be the decider if it is going to go down as a masterpiece. I do think it will. I think Togashi is going to have, like, a really great ending in store for us. But yeah, there's not one bad arc. I guess this is, like, the only, like I said, the only okay one, so I'm happy with that. Good, yeah, I'm happy with these ones here. That one, yeah, no, that's fine there. That could go up here, but it's literally, like, there. That's where you could put it. Not in front of the Chimera Ant arc, but it's, like, there. Without a shadow of doubt, it's on that line. It's going to end up there, I guarantee it. I'm just going to leave it there. Do you know what? We'll put it in GOAT tier. Anyway, so yeah, guys, that is my ranking for Hunter x Hunter in terms of all the arcs that we've got right now. I'll be interested to see what you guys think. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Make sure you smash this video with the thumbs up. Yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Where do you place the arcs that you see before you in order of your enjoyment? Make sure to smash the subscribe button, that'd be great. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you guys never ever miss a post. And of course, if you want to see more tier lists, like I could do one on One Piece, which I'm planning to do. So look forward to that. It's going to be even longer than this one. Oh my god. But I'll try and get through those small ones as quick as possible. But yeah, I'll see you guys for the next video. So until then, see ya.